Welcome to this deep dive. We're tackling, well, an ancient problem today, but with a very modern twist. How should you actually approach giving? Is it some kind of calculated investment in virtue or something else?
Or is it maybe more spontaneous, an unconditional force? We're looking at a really fascinating clash here, spanning millennia. It pits the Roman Stoic master Seneca and his pragmatic ethics against the much more modern spiritual geometry of a consciousness guide named Kato.
Yeah, our sources set up this great comparison. We've got Seneca's views on beneficence, that's the art of giving, placed right against Cato's concept of eubere, which is more like spiritual love. So our mission today is to really pull out the wisdom from these quite contrasting views.
Exactly. Do we give with that kind of disciplined discernment Seneca talks about, or is it more, as Kato suggests, this sort of spherical thing without thinking about the result?
It's a fundamental question.
And what's really key here, right from the start, is how the source material uses Seneca. His calculated approach is almost like the perfect setup. It lays out this classical ethical framework, but then it sort of pivots to build it into a modern model, one focused on spiritual transformation, on consciousness.
So it grounds these big abstract ideas in actual ethical choices we might make.
Precisely. Connects ancient ethics to modern spiritual awareness right off the bat.
Okay, let's unpack this then. And I guess we have to start with Seneca, because his initial take, it sounds less like philosophy and maybe more like a cautious financial advisor talking about charity.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He opens by really criticizing wastefulness. He goes after the idea of just, quote, lavishing benefits indiscriminately on the masses. For Seneca, that kind of giving, he calls it recipe, waste is actually dangerous. It degrades the meaning of the action itself.
Okay, so that's where the discernment piece comes in, right? Judgment.
Exactly. He argues that if you take away the judgment, the critical thought about who actually deserves the benefit, then the act isn't really beneficence anymore. It loses its moral focus, its precision. It becomes, whatever name you wish, as he puts it, basically just throwing stuff away.
Right. Giving without thinking isn't virtuous in his initial view.
Correct. Seneca's operating in a world where virtue needs to be effective, targeted. He gets that giving is risky. He even says something like, many must be lost for one to reach the right place. But, crucially, he believes that one single well-placed act of kindness can make up for all the ones that maybe didn't land right.
That really puts the pressure on you, the giver, doesn't it? Be careful, invest your virtue wisely. But here's the thing, if you're giving with that much calculation, doesn't it kind of undercut the whole idea of generosity? Doesn't the careful planning diminish the kindness?
That's the potential trap, and I think Seneca sees it. It leads him straight into this really interesting Stoic pivot. He shifts gears almost immediately. He suggests that while, yes, you should try to be discerning, it's actually a sign of a more generous spirit to just keep giving, keep trying, even if, none of your benefits ever seem to land perfectly.
Okay, this is where it moves beyond cautious management and into something deeper, like detachment. Because Seneca then argues that in this scenario, nothing is lost. Why? And this part's fascinating.
Right, because the truly virtuous giver wasn't really counting it as an asset to begin with. They never put it on that side of the ledger.
It's like an internal accounting trick almost.
Sort of. Seneca insists the giver's mental ledger should have just one column, atata sataltuit, that much was spent, end of story. If you happen to get something back, gratitude or whatever, that's pure profit, a gain. But if you get nothing, it's not a loss, because the intention was just, I gave something only to give.
I see. So the moment you start tracking it, expecting something back, then it becomes just a loan, an improvement.
Exactly. And worse, he says, giving a benefit hoping for interest kamasta brings a shameful profit. So he's definitely pushing the giver towards detachment, even while still advising discernment in the attempt.
So where does that Stoic discipline differ from, say, a more spiritual kind of non-attachment? Is it the same thing?
It's maybe more practical, less about the cosmic flow. Seneca tells you to keep the discipline of trying to give selectively, to maximize the chance it helps someone, but emotionally you have to completely let go of the outcome. The giving is primarily for developing your own virtue, your character. It's an internal exercise, first and foremost.
Okay. And he really pushes for persistence too, right? Even with people who are clearly ungrateful.
Yes, absolutely. He lists ways to help. You can give objects, sure, but also credit, use your influence, give advice, healthy precepts, he calls them. Keep trying different approaches.
Isn't there an animal analogy he uses?
Yes, a famous one. He points out that even wild beasts, lions, elephants, can eventually be tamed through persistent care. They even show affection for their keepers. His point is, if persistence and care work on creatures that literally lack the power to understand and appreciate a benefit, surely it can eventually work on ungrateful humans too. You just have to keep at it.
Okay, so Seneca leaves us with this picture of disciplined, persistent giving, focused on the internal virtue of the act itself. But what happens when we shift gears completely, away from ethical calculation and into, well, something like spiritual physics?
That's the perfect transition, because this is where Kato comes in. The source presents him as a known author, writes articles and guides on spiritual consciousness, and his response to Seneca offers a stark contrast.
How does he frame it?
Kato approaches it entirely through the lens of transformation, not just ethics. He brings up that spiritual idea. Let not the left hand know what the right hand does. He agrees with Seneca that benefits are never truly lost, but his reason is cosmic. Nothing is lost, nothing is gained, everything transforms.
Everything transforms. So the transformation happens no matter what,
Right.
regardless of gratitude or outcome.
That's the idea. And for Kato, the absolute key driver of this transformation is intention. The giver's intent is what shapes the effect for both the giver and potentially the receiver.
Okay, intention is the engine. How does the giving itself work then in his model?
It's radically different. Kato basically defines the spiritual role of the giver as being like pure emission, like a light bulb or maybe a radio transmitter. If you're operating from a state of love, Weber, you're meant to emit benefits spherically, globally, for everyone, equally, in all directions, no targeting.
Spherically, like a wave expanding outwards.
Exactly. Think of your loving intention creating a spherical wavefront that goes out everywhere.
I like that image. A spherical wavefront of positive intention. So does it just hit everyone then? How does the benefit actually land?
Well, the wavefront does reach everyone within its range. And this is crucial, it only really influences those who both have a need for that specific benefit. A and D, importantly, want to be influenced by it. They have to be open, tuned in. It connects to that idea of ask and it shall be given. The energy is available, but the receiver needs to be receptive.
Wow, okay. That completely changes the role of judgment, doesn't it? If you, as the giver, start picking and choosing targets, saying, okay, this person deserves it, but that one doesn't, what does Kato say that does?
For Kato, that's practicing separatism and discrimination. And the moment you do that, you automatically remove yourself from the state of love. Because in his view, love is union. It's non-separation. So the act of choosing, of discriminating, is fundamentally incompatible with being in that state of pure unconditional love. Seneca's initial call for discernment. Spiritually impossible if your goal is to operate from love.
Right. You can't be unified and separate at the same time. But, okay, that raises a huge, obvious question.
Yeah.
If true love is this state of non-discriminatory unity, why? Why are we here on Earth, making choices, experiencing separation, judging things all the time? Why aren't we all just floating in that spherical wavefront state?
Cato addresses this paradox directly. He describes the nature of that ultimate perfection, that state of pure love and union. He says it maintains a perfect, immutable equilibrium and harmony. It's complete. And because it's perfectly balanced and unchanging, nothing can transform there.
Ah, okay. So paradoxically, perfect love means perfect stasis, no change, no growth.
That's the implication, which means this world, our reality, it's not meant to be that paradise of perfect love. Not yet, anyway. It's specifically created, designed to allow us to experiment with the lack of love, to experience the illusion of separation.
So life here is a kind of game, a temporary experience.
He calls it the Jekyll Vie, the game of life. Temporary, yes, and crucially transformative. It's designed precisely to foster transformation, which can't happen in that perfect, static state of love.
It's like the ultimate cosmic classroom, then. We're here to experience all the things that love isn't.
Exactly. All the altered states of consciousness. Illusion, untruth, separateness, suffering, even things like unpleasantness, neplesseria, illness, boala, unhappiness, nephorisheria, death. These are experiences that simply cannot exist within the perfect equilibrium of the source, of pure love.
So our essential nature, our core, is still connected to that love, to the source.
Yes, Cato says we're always coupled to the source, born of love. But our current existence is a deliberate, conscious experiment. We're choosing to experience a virtual or unreal state.
In order to learn from the lack of love.
Right. To understand love more fully by experiencing its opposite. The freedom we have here in this game is the freedom to live how you want and essentially test what is not love.
That puts a whole different spin on things like ingratitude, which Seneca found so problematic. It's all just part of the experiment, part of the data gathering in this game.
It seems so. It all fits into this creative, imaginative game of transformation. Kato sums it up with that mantra, total est spirit, universal est mental. Everything is spirit. The universe is mental.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up for you, the listener. We've journeyed quite a distance here. We went from Seneca's very practical, ethical advice, who deserves your help, how to persist, all the way to Cato's kind of spiritual geometry, this idea of emitting energy spherically from a state of love.
They both definitely agree on the importance of giving, of the act itself, and the need for persistence in a way. But their frameworks and their metrics for success are worlds apart.
Yeah, for Seneca, success is maybe seeing a virtuous response, or at least knowing you acted virtuously yourself, maintaining that detached discipline.
Whereas for Cato, success is simply maintaining the state of love and emitting that wavefront. Whether anyone catches it or appreciates it is almost beside the point. Your job is just the transmission from that state of union.
The source material really leaves us chewing on a big final thought, doesn't it? If true love, that ultimate state Cato describes, is this immutable perfection where nothing changes, does that mean achieving ultimate fulfillment requires us to eventually give up the very engine of our growth here, give up the joy and creativity that comes from transformation?
Is stasis the final goal? Or is the journey, the game of transformation itself, the point? It's definitely something to mull over as you think about your own giving, your own intentions.
Maybe the choice to even play this messy, transformative game with all its illusions and lack of guarantees is itself the highest expression of freedom.
Perhaps.
Now, if you're finding these ideas about consciousness, intention, and transformation really resonate, you want to explore them further, we definitely recommend checking out more from the author of this source material, Kato. As we mentioned, he's a known author of articles and guides focused on spiritual consciousness.
And for those of you specifically interested in your own spiritual path, your personal development, and maybe even initiation, Kato actually offers a membership program focused on this. It's called the Programul de Concientizar de Nivelul tu Ini Area y Disvoltaria ta Personal Spiritual.
Right. That's the Level 2 Awareness Program initiation and your personal spiritual development. You can find all the details about that Level 2 membership over on his Patreon channel.
So yeah, something to consider if you want to dive deeper into the geometry of your own giving and consciousness.
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.